I have to admit, I don't follow the WNBA regularly, but in the past, during the summertime when there's nothing on TV, I've had WNBA games randomly on. And it's usually during the playoffs when they really are in full swing. I say this because I made this observation like several years back, randomly watching WNBA games, that the WNBA is a much more physical league than the NBA. That when I would watch some of these games, I would just be in awe of the physicality and just the hand checking, just the rough fouls, the hard fouls. And I would think, this is what the NBA used to be like when I was growing up. This is what it used to be like during the 90s and early to mid 2000s before they got rid of the physicality with just making the rule changes. That to me has always stood out really when it comes to the WNBA, and I think it's also kind of like a reflection of society where men are not really allowed to be masculine, whereas women are encouraged to be masculine. It's kind of this weird reversal we've had been going on in society for the last 20 or 30 years. I only bring this all up because Caitlin Clark getting roughed up by these WNBA players has generated like national attention. I was working out the gym just several hours ago in the evening time, and I saw randomly on one of the TVs Fox News talking about what was going on with Caitlin Clark. They were talking about just the unfairness of the physicality and how it's personal and it's dirty and whatnot. But I remember just chuckling while I was on a treadmill, just laughing and watching this, just how funny this has become. I'm not saying it's funny that she's getting roughed up and thrown around like a rag doll, but how you have everybody talking about this. This is making headlines even more so than the current NBA Finals. We're talking about Caitlin Clark and not the NBA Finals. Who would have thought just several months ago the WNBA would be getting more attention than the NBA Finals at this time of year? That's just unheard of. That's what really hit me when seeing all this stuff. But just getting back to the physicality, I remember watching some clips of her getting roughed up. There was just one WNBA player. I'm not even sure if I'm pronouncing her name correctly. Just I don't know, it's Kennedy Carter or Kennedy Carter. I don't really know which is the correct pronunciation, but I'm just gonna say Carter. I saw one of these clips hip check her. Was this a dirty play? Absolutely, it was dirty. I'm not gonna lie about it. There was another play where Angel Reese, I believe, gave her a little bit of a bump. I don't know how serious that was because it kind of looked like Caitlin flopped to me when I watched that. Keep in mind, I have no hatred for Caitlin Clark. I have no dog in this fight. I'm not invested in this emotionally. If she scores 100 points, great for her. If the other girl, Angel Reese, goes off for 100, whatever. Just I'm not invested in whoever wins this rivalry. To me, I don't care personally, but I will say this, that the treatment of Caitlin Clark reminds me of what the NBA used to be like, especially for young players. They used to rough them up pretty badly. That just they would test them. It was like an initiation where you had to prove yourself back in the day. And the only way to get through it is you would have to just continue to be strong, mentally strong, continue to attack the basket and show these guys that you're not intimidated of them. And also at times give the cheap shots back to them to let them know that's really how the league used to be. And I miss that. It was really much more entertaining when the game was much more physical, I would say. That I definitely feel the current NBA is missing that. But going back to Caitlin Clark, just it's it's something that she just has to go through. It's adversity right now for her, but you have to also understand from these other players' perspective. I know people who are Caitlin Clark fans are angry at them and they're just saying that they're dirty, they're a bunch of thugs, whatnot. But you gotta look at it from their perspective. This girl is getting a lot of hype. She's getting paid a lot of money. I'm not talking about the WNBA money, but I'm talking about the endorsement deals from like Nike. I think Nike's going to give her $28 million. I don't know, over 3 or 4 years, but that's a lot of money. These other girls are not getting those types of deals. They're definitely going to be bitter. They're definitely going to be jealous. It's only human nature, especially if you feel you're better than this person and they're getting more than you. This is especially true in the corporate world that you don't get promoted, but you see some guy who's less talented than you, who's not as good as you, get that promotion, the extra money, you're going to hate that person. It's just how the game is. That's why I don't feel bad for her, because she took that money. She took the endorsements. No one forced her to do that. That's just part of the game. You always have to understand that when you get great things, people are going to come at you, especially if they feel that you're not worthy of it, and you just have to deal with it. What's happening to her is just the normal part of initiation or hazing that used to always happen in the NBA. I still remember when Ginobili first came into the league. You see how rough they're doing to Caitlyn? They were much more rougher to Ginobili in the NBA with these flagrant fouls, these takedowns, these hard-ass fouls. It was a lot. Just so as physical as the WNBA is, she hasn't really seen the worst of it compared to what NBA players used to see back in the day. I would also say if she perseveres and she gets through it, she's going to be a better player, and she's going to be mentally stronger, which is going to make her harder to stop. And this is just, I would say, growing pains that she has to go through it. I do think she'll eventually overcome it. She's going to stay the course, and it's good for the WNBA because no one gave a shit about the WNBA until she came. And this rivalry she has with Angel Reese is good for their league in the sense to generate attention. That I know people are divided about this, but I think overall people will gravitate more to the WNBA simply because these two, that's going to generate more eyeballs for them, and everybody's going to win out. I feel even these players that hate her will win out eventually with their incomes going up. If Caitlin Clark continues to generate attention, it's kind of like a rising tide. She'll take the rest of these players with her, that they'll get more attention too by default, and it's a trickle down effect. That's the way I look at it. Now, will I ever become a hardcore WNBA fan? Absolutely not. But if there's a game on TV randomly and I have nothing else to do and there's no NBA games like during the summer, I'll definitely just flip through it to pass the time. So that's the way I look at it. Just random thoughts I thought I would like to throw out there about this.